Hi, it's good to see you again.
Hi, Aaron.
I got the sheep are ready to milk. I've been milking them at 9 p.m. 9 a.m. and so I figured I'd wait and get that because I don't think that you guys got that last two times.
We
Yeah.
didn't. I
Yeah,
know,
and
which
that's
is
like an
like the
important
thing, right?
Yeah, right?
I've never
Yeah.
seen it
Yeah.
like in your sheep.
I just got this smoker, this culinary smoker the other day that you're able to put this on the top of any container that has food in it, and you're able to smoke it with smoke flavoring, real smoke flavoring, not this fake stuff. And there you go, you can see it a little bit better. And so I did pecan wood last night on a batch, and it's in the ice cream maker right now. I screwed up the first batch of ice cream this morning. I tried a batch of this directly onto the ice cream maker as it was churning yesterday, and it was way too up front on the flavoring. Like anything that you want to be up front in the flavoring, you put in last in your recipe. Anything that you want to be in the background, you put in earlier on. And so as I tasted it, I was like, oh, that is way too strong. That infomercial that sold this idea of just being able to smoke ice cream in an ice cream bowl, that like obviously that was an exaggeration with all the other exaggerations on the internet. And it turns out the people that actually make this stuff for their culinary restaurants, they smoke the cream beforehand. And so because sheep milk is so much higher in butterfat, it's up to 12% butterfat, whereas cow milk is 3.5% for whole milk. I don't even need to add cream. So that's the beauty of making sheep ice cream, is that it's so simple. So what I did yesterday is I milked into the bottle and then smoked on top of it. And while it was still warm, I shook it around a little bit. And I did it 3 times. And this morning it smells like it's perfectly in the background. Like I tasted it too after I sweetened it before putting it into the ice cream maker. And it's like, I'm so excited like for this culinary like learning experience or whatever.
And why are you doing that? Is that part of the business idea, or is there a reason why you're smoking, or just total experimental?
Because I have a gallon a day of sheep milk right now. I am on the lowest end of my lactation, and I still have half of that as access to share or to barter for other food. Like today, I just made a butcher friend that lives in the area that works for the local butcher, and she has been trading me food. Their butchered meat for my sheep milk and stuff. Okay. So, but in order, she's interested in the milk, and a couple other people are interested in the milk, but it's not enough to get to move it consistently enough to where I don't have to hold on to it in a refrigerator. So my goal is like figure out how to move this milk in its whatever varied form that makes it most desirable for people to want to barter their other food before crap hits the fan and after could hit the fan. I got cheeses.
Cool.
Got
Are those yours, cheese?
Yeah.
That you made? Really?
Yeah. These are five cheeses.
That's a lot. So that cheese will last you a while.
Well, yeah. This is like this is from when I was getting like 3 gallons a day, and so I have such access to. And this is like really complex cheeses, like because basically nowadays they pasteurize all of the natural microbes, like dozens of microbes that come stock in the milk. Yeah. They pasteurize it, and then they put in basically a genetically modified culture that.
Can I see it again?
Yeah, that you can look at all of them.
Yeah.
Gracie wants some cheese today, so last time I told her that they weren't ready yet, so I'll be busting them all out for her.
So pretty.
Yeah, and each of them looks completely different.
Really? I would love to see
yeah,
them.
They're like,
cool.
This one is like a cheddar with a little bit of a bloomy rind. All cheeses can be divided up into 3 main cultures that the companies add to it, and depending on the size of the cheese and the size of the cheese curds and how densified they are, then it makes up the varied cheeses. But there's all just 3 main bacterial lineages of cheeses, and that's the blue cheeses that we know of, the bloomy rind cheeses that are white bloomy rind, those are like the brie cheeses.
Okay.
And then the B. linens is the other microbe that they use, that is the stinky cheeses like Limburgers. And then you have the cheddaring process. Cheddaring, you can cheddar any of those cheeses.
Oh.
And so this one is a cheddar with a bloomy rind.
Okay. Which is like the brie rind.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that kind of looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And then I think I ate all the stinky ones are the ones that go first. They're the
People
ones
like
that,
this most.
Well, they mature them
mature
the
first.
quickest, yeah. This one's a blue.
Oh, yeah.
A blue cheese. Blue cheese with a bloomy rind, and it's pretty dense.
So when you say you need a bloomy rind, you've got a piece of rennet? Is that what they use? No.
Yeah, rennet is what you use to coagulate it. But all three of those microbes are in our environment everywhere. And they're the most prolific. That's the reason that they're the main lineage. They become the main lineages. And so what you do is like blue cheese is the most dominant, and then in the air.
Okay.
And then the bloomy rind is the next most dominant, and then the B linens is most dominant on our bodies. It's actually what makes us stink. What makes our armpits stink is the same thing that makes the cheese stink.
No.
Yeah.
You see, that's why it probably resembles when you
It
smell
smells
both.
stinky. It smells like stinky socks. Yeah, for sure. It's the same exact bacteria in your stinky socks. And so, So what you do is you just they each like their different salt levels. So like the stinky cheeses like most salt because we're salty,
Okay.
you know. And so then the bloomy rind it likes medium salt, and then the blue cheese is the least salt loving, and so basically what you can do is you salt the outside, and by how much you salt it, you're inviting in the specific microbe. So you're cultivating the outside of it.
On the cheese itself.
Yeah, this is definitely a different one. This is
yeah.
This is more heavily cheddared. I fully want to this one's a very bloomy rind. It's beautiful. I love this. I love that. This has got blue cheese and bloomy rind.
You look real.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So you would culture, like one you'd put more salt, this one you would do...
I vary the amount of moisture that is in the curds, like how much I process them to try to get the curds to be driest as possible is my I want them to be solid. I don't want to have to gingerly like place them in and stuff. I want them to be ripe in my my evaporative cooler. I want them to be ripe within a couple weeks to a month. And then I'm able to put them into these paper bags and stuff them into the fridge, and they're ready to go. The only reason that people they age their cheeses in cheese caves at like 55 degrees is to slow down the microbes, changing the flavor so that they have a wider window of catching it right at the beginning when it starts to enter its ripe stage. So you ripen cheeses, and once they get perfectly ripe, then you send them off to market. And the best way to catch that right at the beginning and to have the widest window of marketability, best buy date, is by going slow. You can go fast. You just have to be a quicker juggler.
Okay.
Basically, I view everything that I'm doing as juggling milk. Because that's it's exactly what I'm doing, is trying to figure out how to make use of milk as it comes out with the different lactation cycle levels and stuff. I invented these single batch cheeses that are basically I just put the rennet in the bottom of the jar, and then milk directly on top of it. Pour the warm milk. 104.5 degrees is what it comes out as.
What, can you open that again? Like
yeah.
Is that like a fresh cheese?
Yeah, this is a fresh cheese,
Okay.
and then I've been putting holes in the sides.
Yeah, I'm noticing.
So that they can. So I'm dialing in how many holes it'll need in order to self ripening box itself. Basically, the amount of moisture that it's weeping out evaporates off, and it actually keeps the cheese cool. So it's its own evaporative cooler. I just got to figure out how to dial in the. I had it pretty well dialed in with my old pack boxes. I had the cheese cave in the side of one of them. It had enough circulation that they were keeping themselves cool, and they weren't drying out too fast, so they weren't cracking. It's easy to just stick my whisk in there and break up the curds, set them out in the sun, let the sun's additional heat weep away more of the whey, and pour off that way, and then eventually pour the curds directly in here. And then I have a little follower that I'm able to put on top, and I'm able to put things on top of that like this, and then smash it down.
Oh.
So this is a cheese mold, a cheese press, and a cheese cave all in one. Like I'm trying to simplify as much as possible for like someone living out of a backpack with a goat.
Did you create
basically.
this?
Yeah.
No way.
So I had to find a cheese mold that had a lip first of all, because not all of them have a lip on the to prevent them from falling in. So I ordered dozens of these cheese molds that were around the size of a standard jar. This is the same size as a standard jar. So this fits in there, and it's universal, and I can and people now can get this size mold and get their standard size jars, and they'll have all-in-one ability to age their cheeses. And
How did you know this information though? Like, were you researching? How do you know about making cheese?
I've started making cheese since I had goats, and just had a plethora of had too much milk and not enough people that were interested in it. So
But you have so much knowledge on it. Like, how are you getting this? You reading a lot?
yeah, I read a lot, and I watch YouTube videos.
Backpack
And a dairy goat, yeah.
there we go. It could be said with something like this.
And then to be able to not only sell their milk, their excess milk for money or barter it for food to get supplement, but they could also trade their cheese. They can diversify their product.
Probably eat well themselves too,
Yeah.
with the access and
Yeah.
What did you call it? You were just starting to call it something? Mobile cheese.
Oh, mobile cheese cave, yeah.
The mobile cheesecake.
So next, so my goal is I marked that out because the ice cream machine is everything that I'm doing is an experiment, and then I try, and then I'm like, okay, is that reasonable for other people? Is that going to be? I think that's very reasonable before crap hits the fan, but it's and it's very necessary before it hits the fan to have this ice cream method because of moving the milk, because people are there. Because people's taste buds are so domesticated, and so they're not used to the cheeses, and they're not used to the kefir, and they're not used to the milk, but they're used to ice cream. So until crap hits the fan, an ice cream machine is going to be very helpful for anyone who has a dairy pet who is wanting to make use of the excess milk. But then after that, your cheese, your milk, kefir is going to be the most sought after thing. I want to balance a year-round cheese making outdoors, that's the key, outdoor, no room temperature, 90-degree temperatures, on the go without any refrigeration or evaporative cooler.
And kefir, can you show me that?
Yeah, this is
that?
so this is the my condensed kefir.
Ooh.
It's called I call it kefir cream cheese. I got my big kefir jar right here, and I pour it in there once the kefir is ready. I got my kefir in the bottom of that with the kefir grains in here, and I love these latch top jars. These are my favorite because I can do this and I can just pour it in without having to worry about the grains falling out. Here's some condensed kefir. So I'm going to make a batch of ice cream today that's just condensed kefir. This is that condensed all the way. And so
can you explain what kefir is? I'm not sure everyone's going to know what it is.
yeah, so basically a SCOBY is a flat disc shape that grows on top of kombucha to ferment the carbohydrates underneath it that are in the solution or the juice. And kefir does the same thing, except it's a different form. They look like cauliflower granules, and they are in the bottom of the kefir jar. And they do the same thing. They digest the sugars that are in the milk and convert it into a thicker substance that is just like so packed with B vitamins.
And it doesn't need to stay cold.
And that's the beauty of it, is that it needs temperature. It needs like room temperature to 90 degrees in order to ferment in any like timely fashion to where you could use it to move milk.
Well, people were really interested in your lifestyle, and some people were actually in the comments, they were saying, oh, he looks healthy.
Yeah.
So do you think that's a blend of lifestyle with what you eat, with things you do during the day, goals for the future? What's your equation there? I mean,
We are what we eat. I mean, so if we, yeah, it starts with that. It's not just what we eat is in quality, but how much we have participated in it and how much we're grateful for it. So like if we're growing or producing our own food, the more percentage of our diet that we're directly have a hand in, it's going to make us feel psychologically better and emotionally better. And so it's not just like our physical health, we are what we eat, but if we're engaged with that process, then that's the biggest secret. Something that I feel is most lacking in humans' day-to-day life, modern day-to-day life, that we used to have. We used to be more involved with holistic processes, and like milking, for instance. I'm milking my own sheep, then I'm consuming it, and then creating cheese. Going off in this direction could be viewed as like breeding my own, and so I'm broadening the whole experience, that we've all been compartmentalized up into having individual jobs, so we don't even know how sacred like a whole process. We don't even know what a whole I don't even know what a whole process is, because I've only got so many generations in this, and it hasn't been family generations. That adds a whole nother block of holistic experience onto just this one milking aspect. So normally, cheesemakers, they will milk their animals, and then they'll use fire to heat up their pot, and then once it gets up to 90 degrees, then they put in the rennet. But the milk comes out at 104.5 degrees. So if you're ready and you just pour the milk from the milk bottle, right, warm, directly onto the renneted jar, that's all it needs. Is just a little dash.
Wow,
and
it's like nothing.
Normally I just put that rennet in there, and then it quickens the cheese making process. I'm not milking them and letting it cool down and then having to heat it back up. I'm just doing it all really quick. And those single batch cheese molds are what makes that possible. That is like perfect size for a quart of milk. I usually don't start on this side. I usually start on the other side. I wonder how she'll react. Thank you. Good girl, my Annie. Annie.
It's a lot of milk. I'm just one twice a day.
Yeah, this is a little bit more than a quart, and she gives 2 of these a day, and the other one gives 2 of these a day too. So they're giving a gallon a day, and that's again milking just twice a day for a sheep is actually not very many. Most sheep dairies milk 3 times a day at least, and in the Middle East, the sheep dairies milk 5 times a day. So I've got them running on a very low lactation, let's put it that way.
Oh.
Good girl. Here you go, good girl. She's such a sweet girl.
How do you describe your relationship with your sheep? Is it kind of like a pet? Is it like a...
Yeah. But it's normal pets are consumer pets, but my sheep are producer pets. So I differentiate all pets as whether they take more from you or whether they give more. And in a post-apocalyptic situation, where you're not able to feed them food and stuff is the whole consideration behind it. I actually got into goats, getting my own dairy goats to feed my my dog a more sustainable diet, because I wanted to feed him quality. I wanted to feed him quality food, but I couldn't afford it, and so I got dairy goats to loan out to other people's yards, and then we were going to share the milking responsibility so that I could use my half of the milk to feed my dog, because my dog really liked goat milk. And those yards ended up like going back on their 1 month minimum agreement to hold on to these goats, and that's how I started walking around with goats. I think I told you guys that in the first episode. I started a goat share program originally, and I never intended on walking around with goats. But those yards, they failed their 1 month minimum agreement for the goat share program, and so I had to walk the goats around.
And learning to milk, was that an easy process?
I had to learn with the first 2 goats that I got, but luckily I got this hand milking machine called an Easy Milker, and it's like a manual milking machine. It doesn't require electricity, but it's easier than milking by hand like this. And so I was luckily able to kind of ease into it and use that, and then go back and forth between trying to learn how to milk with my hand. And once I learned how to milk with my hand and it clicked, then I sold that Easy Milker apparatus, that tool, and it was and then milking by hand became way easier. Smells There you go, mama. Good girl. Hungry, hungry sheep. They're like little round balls, so it reminds me of hungry, hungry hippos. Because their little mouths move so fast. Good girls.
I noticed some
So awesome.
great updates on your camper, or at least I don't remember them on the previous setup. For example, you have these shutters with a mechanism to open them very easily and then close them down very seamlessly too.
Oh, the doors, the awnings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get it eventually. Thank you, girls. I want to eventually get it even simpler to where, like the back of a truck, the camper that you like twist and lift up. I want to get one of those twisty things on the outside of this so that I can just one move. Because right now I have to unlock that and then unlock this, and then there's a string on top of the door that I pick up. And
then how about the wall? How about the wall?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. These are my new winter curtains. These were a game changer. I absolutely love these curtains. I can't believe it's taken me this long to do it. And
because it's just so much warmer.
yeah, and you can just tailor it. You know, like I just want the center ones open. You know, to let it in just a little bit more air. Because a lot of people suggest like closing this off entirely and like it is pretty in the wintertime. I had it pretty well insulated and airtight.
Yeah.
But you don't want it too airtight because I don't know. I don't like normal clothes that are waterproof because it makes me feel clammy, and like it's the same subtle effect when I'm in here. And if I don't have the fire going, you know, to keep things warm. But even if I have there's a stuffiness that I don't like, and so I like a little bit of air. And these curtains were perfect for being able to dial that in, depending on the wind and the heat outside to the heat inside, and everything. I really like being able to throttle that. But yeah, this is I'm super interested to see
How this works out, right?
Can't wait to use the smoker on lots of things. It has $20. These little culinary smokers. I guess like all bars have this, and they're starting to like smoke whiskeys and stuff like that. And it's like, it's like super popular.
Really cool. And now what?
So now I just put it to the side and let that for the next 5 minutes, and it'll coagulate into the curd.
In 5 minutes?
5 to 10,
Wow.
maybe 20. Did I have this last time?
Yeah, you had
This
it the first time.
this little thing?
What's on the side?
No,
What's that?
not that one.
what is
no.
Yeah, the freaking automatic pressurizer.
Ah.
It's already
you don't have to pump it.
Yeah, it's already at 45. I can turn it up to.
How is it battery powered?
Yeah, it's rechargeable, and it's super fast at recharging. So
Wow, so it's pressurized.
yeah. So this has, I love these pressure showers because it has a pump right here, and if that should ever go bad for some reason, they have a valve right there that you can plug in a bike pump to, a manual bike pump, or if you have one of these, you can plug in one of these, and it's all one unit. It's like an awesome shower. Yeah, awesome off-grid shower.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the design of it, it's almost, as you were saying before, it's, you know, in a post-apocalyptic scenario, I mean, things doesn't need to be ugly. I mean, it does look
It looks cool.
Yeah. And it's metal on the bottom, so, and everything inside is metal, so I can put this directly on the fire. And because it's cupped like that, it actually heats up really efficiently with like when you put them on top of an open flame, you know, because the flame gets caught under there, so to speak. Yeah, silly donkey checking him out. Hi. Her name's Faith.
Faith.
Yeah, she came with the name Faith. I just call her Donkey Doo though.
Hey, Faith. Hello, Faith. Hello, donkey.
Does she get milk next?
Yeah, no. Yeah, as soon as she foals.
Oh, she's not. Okay, I thought you said you were milking her.
Yeah, no. She's pregnant right now, and so like, I got my first donkey, who was pregnant, and she was much taller, like twice the size of that donkey, and it was too big. It was too dangerous.
But sheep don't seem that dangerous. I'm standing
No,
behind.
yeah, and so that's the thing is like dairy goats and dairy sheep are not only safer to work with in this, economically up, situation. But in the post-apocalyptic situation, where you don't have like a hospital to mend your broken foot because your horse stepped on it, which is like a hugely common thing, and it would only become the reasons that horses hurt people is only going to increase when they try to live with their horse 24/7 in a post-apocalyptic situation. When you go out to work with your horse, you're working with your horse, you're focused on your horse. But if you're integrating the horse being around you while you're trying to get your other stuff done, you're going to be distracted, and it's going to turn its butt around and smash you against that tree that you weren't paying attention. But when you're loading them on that trailer, you know that people die from loading their horses up on trailers and getting smashed in between their butts and the inside wall.
Oh.
And there's surprisingly a large amount of horse fatalities and injuries that seems to be overlooked for the nostalgic value of having them, and the romanticization of having them. And that romanticization, I feel, is going to be putting people's health at risk when crap hits the fan, and they're going to be increasing their interactions and their close environments with their horses that are of the size that they can do bodily harm without even meaning to, is the whole point. Yeah. So for a survival animal, I don't think it's very intelligent to have that animal able to harm you. Even if it doesn't mean to. You can say it's the best trained thing in the world, but if it steps on a yellow jacket hole, it's going to bolt with you and run you into a tree, or throw you off. Or if you're not on it, it's going to freak out, and its butt could swing around and smash you in between a tree. A bullet flying could do this. Any of those things.
What do you think about the donkeys so far?
I think that for the size of these wagons, I think that the smartest way to transport these, and the most scalable way to transport these, that everyone has access to, because donkeys are really expensive and around here. It took me a long time to save, and that was with donations.
How much do they cost?
$1,500, and that's a good deal. They're $3,000, on Craigslist all day here.
What does a sheep cost?
Free and $200. Yeah. You can get dairy goats for $150 all day long.
Sorry, that again. Sorry,
You can get dairy goat all day long for $150, but a donkey you're gonna have to pay $1,500 for. That's a huge difference, and especially when the name of the game is not putting all your eggs in one basket too. You don't want your basket to be able to be hurt or shot or something like that after a crap fan, and so.
So worth it? Is it worth it though?
I don't think that equins are as donkeys are equins. I think that if you are going to go with an equine, a smaller one that matches your body size, that you're able to physically turn their head and their neck if they start to bolt with your wagon or with your pack boxes.
You're saying sheep aren't strong enough really to pull the wagon.
They are when this doesn't have the fridge, doesn't have the battery in it. Then my ram was pulling this 5 miles a day, and then with a couple hour rest, then pulling it another 5 miles, and that was adequate. But then when I started adding this fridge and this freezer, that's when I got stuck for the last over a year, because I thought that, okay, well, now I need another animal to help pull. And so I got that large ram. I don't know if you remember seeing that black-headed ram that I spent 11 months. I can't believe that it took that long for me to realize that it wasn't working out. 11 months that I tried to train him, and he just was of a meat breed that just, it was in his nature to be skittish. And it was making all of us more anxiety ridden, and so after 11 months I made the call and rehomed him, and then started trying to save up for a donkey, because I figured, that'd be the next most reasonable thing to try. Tried that, and I'm realizing that donkeys need to, the reason I have her tethered right now is because I can't let her go graze the green stuff, because they're so much more efficient at converting forage that they can get essentially donkey diabetes when they get foundered. When they get founders, that's losing circulation in their hooves in the same way that people with diabetes have circulation problems in their extremities. So I can't let this donkey free graze with my sheep, which is half the reason I got her, is to be able to protect my sheep. But she can't graze with my sheep, so she can't protect them, and she's being mean to my sheep, so she's doing the opposite. She's nipping at them, and yesterday she started kicking at them while she was in the yoke pulling. So I don't know what that's about, but
so are you thinking you're gonna sell her?
Yeah, I'm gonna rehome her, and I'm going to get a sled harness that bodybuilders use to pull huge tires behind them. I'm going to connect that to the front fork and have just enough length of a strap and to allow me to go out in front of my ram and hold the leash behind me, so that I can apply just a little bit of pressure to keep him pushing on his yoke, but yet allow myself to walk most uninhibitedly.
Because so you're going to help. You're going to be part of the
pack. I think that's the smartest way to have a personal wagon like this. The smartest way is to have your dairy goats or your dairy sheep pulling, or your combination of them, and then have the harness for yourself to help pull when you see hills coming up ahead. And I think that's then you have plenty of power, but not too much power. And the most important thing is, like, I'm able to haul right now 24 hours of water for all of us easily. But if I rehome her and take her position pulling, helping my ram pull, then we'll be able to stay out for 2 days, 2.5 days. Which is huge, because anyone who packs horses, they do not pack any water for the horses, and so they have to strategically go from one water source to the next water source. That's one of the biggest things that that horse packers don't talk about. That's a drawback. The breakdown and setup of not only the camp but packing up the boxes. It takes 2 hours for them to pack up 2 horses. And then it takes to set up the camp, is even more, tying up tarps and whatnot. And so having
you're just everything's always in the
instantly provide them with shade. That's the other thing, is that horse packers don't pack enough. Usually, I haven't seen anyone that packs a shelter for their horses, or shade shelter or anything like that. Both sides open up instantly, automatically. I'm able to yoke them up in moments. And I'm able to carry water, and that's a huge big thing. A micro wagon gives you the best of everything that you'll need to be able to traverse the rural areas and connect with the farms, hopefully beforehand, like I'm trying to do, so that it's not such a learning curve to finding the people.
Because you're getting more and more refined and to find this sort of mobile pack cart home.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
right? So the point is to try to hone it to a reasonable enough level before crap hits the fan, that it'll meet people's realization that they want to do something before it hits the fan, and they'll see this and then adapt their own and improve everything. Because I'm obviously limited in my education, experience, and finances and stuff, and other people that have better abilities in those areas will be able to improve. Influencers with wild edibles, they are consistently more and more, as they see more and more of the other wild edible content creators doing this, it influences them to exaggerate their claims about wild edibles too. Oh, this is delicious, or this tastes like sugar.
It almost looks like a race,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes it's difficult not to see that. Sometimes it's so easy to become a part of the context instead of just keeping doing your thing.
Because the last thing we want is for people, domesticated people, thinking that if crap hits the fan, that all they have to do is forage. You're not going to live off of forage, and that's the biggest misleading of the wild edible content creators, is that they've exaggerated so much now that they have people thinking. And then you got the vegan narrative that it comes into play that is also influencing a greater and greater number of people to thinking that they can survive and now even thinking they can thrive when crap hits the fan off of just wild edibles. And so then that's giving them like the, okay, well then I can just chill and wait until crap hits the fan, and as long as I have this field guide and I have my basic knowledge, then I'll be fine. And I think that it's leading people into starvation and
misunderstanding.
yeah, and they need to have be working with farms, if not farming themselves, for the main source of their calories, because that's where they get the main source of their calories now. You know, it's not foraging. Those things are for the most part not nearly as palatable as the wild edible content creators are making them out to be. And I try to be as honest as possible, like in my videos, like this is the texture of it. This is edible, but it's not palatable is often the differentiation that I make for people, is that this is a wild edible, but it's not palatable. The texture of it is not desirable. Whereas other wild edible content creators will take that exact same plant and claim that it's sweet or it tastes amazing. And I'm just like, oh, my eyes are rolling more and more the more that I watch the content creators around wild edibles. It's just gotten so ridiculous.
What's going on here? Dry?
Yeah, these are cherries. I'm turning my wagon into a mobile farm stand and trying to be like a community farm stand, so that people that have like a single fruit tree or some little garden and they have just one thing that isn't abundant enough to make their own farm stand out of, they can give it to me, and I will move it to people and bring them back donations.
So what do you mean by community farm stand? Like you will
This is someone else's cherries that they gave me, and so I made ice cream for it and gave them a pint. And the rest of them I'm going to bag up. I got some little bags from the grocery store yesterday. I bought like 2 dozen paper bags so that I can put these into the individual bags, and then people can take them and donate whatever they want, $1 or $5. The guy that's been making soap with my sheep's milk. These are my sample spoons for the ice cream, but this is the soaps that he's making with my sheep's. This is all my sheep's milk.
No. These are beautiful.
And it's really like it's really good soap. It's
Can you
not
pull one out?
Yeah, it's not the type of soap that you like that you use for. It's got 3 different shapes. Sunflower.
Do you know what's in it?
Wow.
There's like 5% coconut oil, I think is what he uses.
Okay.
And the rest is sheep milk.
So sheep milk is a good thing.
It's really good for like skin bars, I guess. Like it's not good for washing your dishes, but it's really good for keeping your skin hydrated when you wash with it. Whereas like like if I use this for my body, and I use the Dr. Bronner's for my dishes, because Dr. Bronner's washes off really clean.
Yeah.
But if I use Dr. Bronner's to wash my own skin, then it dries my skin out. So I use this for my body, and yeah.
How much are you selling for?
So these are just donations. So he gave me a box of 12 of them, and because he liked my idea of trying to be like a donation-based farm stand, community farm stand, and so he donated those. Yeah. I forgot to film the second half of Kirsten and Nico's recent visit. There they go, leaving now. Good sheep! Hopefully another great video that they compile, helping to share these ways. Yeah. You're such a good girl. Shared the smoked ice cream with them, and loved it. I love it. Oh my gosh.